I. Yamakavaga. Dhammapada verse 1 Kakapalathara Vatu. Manopabangama Dhamma, Manasetha Manamaya Manasa Ce Padudina tu Basati Va Karati Va Tato Nam Dukamanveti Kakamva Vahado Padam. Verse 1. All mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner, they have mind as their chief, they are mind-made. If one speaks or acts with evil mind, dukkha 3 follows him just as the wheel follows the hoofprint of the ox that draws the cart. 1. Mano pub bangama dhamma. All mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner in the sense that mind is the most dominant, and it is the cause of the other three mental phenomena, namely, feeling, vedana, perception, sana, and mental formations are mental concomitants, sankhara. These three have mind or consciousness, vijnana, as their forerunner, because although they arise simultaneously with mind, they cannot arise if mind does not arise. The commentary. 2. Manasa ce padudina, verse 1, and manasi ce pasanena, verse 2. Manasa here means intention or volition. Satana, volition leads one to the performance of volitional actions, both good and evil. This volition and the resultant actions constitute karma, and karma always follows one to produce results. Kakapala's blindness, verse 1, was the consequence of his having acted with an evil intention in a previous existence, and Matakandali's happy existence in Tavatimsa celestial world, verse 2, was the result of his mental devotion, manapasada, to the Buddha. 3. Dukkha. In this context, dukkha means suffering, or physical or mental pain, misfortune, unsatisfactoriness, evil consequences, etc., and rebirth in the lower planes of existence or in the lower strata of human society if born in the human world. The story of Therakakapala. While residing at the Jetavana monastery in Savatthi, the Buddha uttered verse 1 of this book, with reference to Kakapala, a blind Thera. On one occasion, Therakakapala came to pay homage to the Buddha at the Jetavana monastery. One night, while pacing up and down in meditation, the Thera accidentally stepped on some insects. In the morning, some bhikkhus visiting the Thera found the dead insects. They thought ill of the Thera and reported the matter to the Buddha. The Buddha asked them whether they had seen the Thera killing the insects. When they answered in the negative, the Buddha said, just as you had not seen him killing, so also he had not seen those living insects. Besides, as the Thera had already attained arahatship, he could have no intention of killing and so was quite innocent. On being asked why Kakapala was blind although he was an arahat, the Buddha told the following story. Kakapala was a physician in one of his past existences. Once, he had deliberately made a woman patient blind. That woman had promised him to become his slave, together with her children, if her eyes were completely cured. Fearing that she and her children would have to become slaves, she lied to the physician. She told him that her eyes were getting worse when, in fact, they were perfectly cured. The physician knew she was deceiving him, so in revenge, he gave her another ointment, which made her totally blind. As a result of this evil deed, the physician lost his eyesight many times in his later existences. Then the Buddha spoke in verse as follows. Verse 1. All mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner, they have mind as their chief, they are mind-made. If one speaks or acts with an evil mind, dukkha follows him just as the wheel follows the hoofprint of the ox that draws the cart. At the end of the discourse, 30,000 bhikkhus attained arahatship together with analytical insight, patisambhita. Dhammapada verse 2 Matakandali Vatu. Manopabangama Dhamma Manasetha Manamaya Manasa Ce Pasanena Basati Va Karati Va Tato Nam Sukha manveti chayava anapayini. Verse 2. All mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner. They have mind as their chief. They are mind-made. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness, sukha, follows him like a shadow that never leaves him. 1. Sukham, sukha. In this context, happiness, satisfactoriness, fortune, etc., and rebirth in the three upper planes of happy existence. The story of Matakandali. While residing at the Jetavana monastery in Savatthi, the Buddha uttered verse 2 of this book, with reference to Matakandali, a young Brahmin. Matakandali was a young Brahmin, whose father, Adinapabhaka, was very stingy and never gave anything in charity. Even the gold ornaments for his only son were made by himself to save payment for workmanship. When his son fell ill, no physician was consulted, until it was too late. When he realized that his son was dying, he had the youth carried outside onto the veranda, so that people coming to his house would not see his possessions. On that morning, the Buddha, arising early from his deep meditation of compassion, saw, in his net of knowledge, Matakandali lying on the veranda. So when entering Savatthi for alms food with his disciples, the Buddha stood near the door of the Brahmin Adinapabhaka. The Buddha sent forth a ray of light to attract the attention of the youth, who was facing the interior of the house. The youth saw the Buddha, and as he was very weak he could only profess his faith mentally. But that was enough. When he passed away with his heart in devotion to the Buddha, he was reborn in the Tavatimsa celestial world. From his celestial abode the young Matakandali, seeing his father mourning over him at the cemetery, appeared to the old man in the likeness of his old self. He told his father about his rebirth in the Tavatimsa world and also urged him to approach and invite the Buddha to a meal. At the house of Adinapabhaka, the question of whether one could or could not be reborn in a celestial world simply by mentally professing profound faith in the Buddha, without giving in charity or observing the moral precepts, was brought up. So the Buddha willed that Matakandali should appear in person. Matakandali soon appeared fully decked with celestial ornaments and told them about his rebirth in the Tavatimsa world. Then only, the audience became convinced that the son of the Brahmin Adinapabhaka, by simply devoting his mind to the Buddha, had attained much glory. Then the Buddha spoke in verse as follows. Verse 2. All mental phenomena have mind as their forerunner. They have mind as their chief. They are mind-made. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness, sukha, follows him like a shadow that never leaves him. At the end of the discourse, Matakandali and his father Adinapabhaka attained Sotapatti Magga and Sotapatti Phala. Adinapabhaka also donated almost all his wealth to the cause of the Buddha's teaching.